stunning looks than swift.
Simply incredible from India, from India's bowlers. How will they fare if they have to bat first? What about a tricky pitch? How will they manage without Hardik Pandya with the long tail? Questions answered in emphatic fashion against the defending champions, who've had the better of them at recent white ball World Cups, who they have outclassed by 100 runs in spite of getting what we thought was just 229. What a game we've witnessed. This is pretty much the final nail in the coffin for England's title defence of this very proud achievement of holding both the white ball men's World Cups. But after India got 229, once Josh Buttler put them in at Lucknow, Rohit Sharma led the way with what is now clearly an outstanding 87, perhaps worthy of several hundreds that are scored on better surfaces. And he had support from Surya Kumar Yadav with 49, from KL Rahul at 39. England were much improved with the ball. Willie, Wokes all did their job, so did Adil Rashid. But in response, Shami follows up 5 in Dharamshala with 4 in Lucknow. Bumrah does his thing. They break the back of England in the first 10. They were 4 for 39. Kuldeep bamboozled Buttler, and that was it. 8 batters got double figures, but only a higher score of 27 there from Liam Livingstone. India win by 100. That gives us so much to now reflect on, appreciate for India, and analyse for England on how this has now not just gone wrong, but it just continues to get worse. So Tom Moody will join us in a short while on Maruti Suzuki Arena Presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday. We'll hear from Stephen Harmison as well. But let's start with Cheteshwar Pujara. That's just the stuff of what clearly looks like a champion team, to be able to defend a score like that so convincingly, Puji. But give me your first thoughts of the bowling performance you've just seen for 34.5 overs.
I think it was an incredible performance by the seamers to start off with. Look, the most important thing today was the line which Bumrah and Shami bowled. Siraj again didn't start off well. There is a bit of a concern, I would say, because he hasn't been bowling well with the new ball. That's where I feel Mohammad Shami could take the new ball.
Yeah.
But I think the way we bowled in the power play, way the Indian team bowled in the power play, the lines were perfect, the lengths were perfect, and that is what you want on such a pitch where there's a little bit of help. And it did enough, because you might say there were a couple of inside edges, but if you look at the lines of those balls, that made the batsmen play those balls and made an error. And I thought the way the entire bowling unit bowled today, because you had a good start from the seamers, but if you look at the middle phase, the way Kuldeep and Jadeja bowled today, so it was a complete all-round performance by all the bowlers.
Bittersweet feelings for you here. It's one thing to see England go down and not fail and not chase a score like 230, but some of the fast bowling we saw on display must be giving you some pleasure.
Yeah, the fast bowling on display was unbelievable. We said at the top of that second session there that they'd have to bowl straight, they'd have to bring the batsmen playing forward, and they'd have to bowl with aggression. Not aggression sometimes gets misled, because people say aggression, that's short balls. It's not. It's aggression into length. It's aggression with your lines and your lengths, as well as your body language. And that, for me, taking Siraj's 2 overs out of the way, the other 8 overs for me was as good a power play bowling you'll see in any World Cup or any sort of shortest format of the game. England, well, they just didn't throw a punch back. Really, it's typified England. You know, I landed yesterday and I thought England were out yesterday. And to be fair, they played like they were out yesterday as well. They bowled brilliantly, they fielded brilliantly, but they're batting. I'm sorry, some of the pressure that they were put under. There's eight World Cup winners playing in this game. That's how good a victory it is for India. Whether you say England or haven't been at the races, or England have been underperforming, 8 of that team played in the World Cup final in 2019. So for me, that makes that win for me, India, even more special. But England, they were completely outbattered in that sort of second half.
Yeah.
And the way they went down, I think it just tells you where that dressing room's at this moment in time. They're really, really struggling from a confidence point of view. They look as though there's a lot of individuals there, and they're not a collective unit, which is what's been built on England's foundation to why they're the best white ball, why they've been the best white ball team in the world. Because what India have just done to England have been doing that for the last sort of 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Times are changing.
Yeah, it's changed quickly, and I guess you have to now correct yourselves to a past tense when you speak of England's team. This is just not what we expected. But there is a story here, isn't there, Tom, from everything that India have shown us in the second innings and then everything that England have. Sum up the story of the second innings in your eyes.
Well, I think what we've witnessed is, again, the strength of this Indian side. It's not just a side that boasts, some wonderful decorated batsmen, but it also, has a side that has got, an incredibly good new ball attack, a great spin bowling attack with variety. And they've got the bench strength. For Shami to not even be starting in the playing 11 at the beginning of the World Cup, he wasn't considered as a starting 11 player. To come in and have the impact that he's had every single game, it's quite remarkable. It's a credit to him. If anything, I think nearly you look at this side, it nearly looks stronger than the side that started the tournament. So that's a positive sign for India in that they're growing into this tournament and their best is yet to come.
Yeah, I think that's a nice way to carry on the conversation. India's always been blessed with superstar batters, run machines, prolific batters, before your time, Puji, even before that. But this battery of fast bowlers, even in 2011, it wasn't the strength of India's pace bowling that led MS Dhoni's side to World Cup glory. What we're seeing today, is this is the best fast bowling unit on display in the World Cup, I think it's fair to say.
By far, I think this is the by far best fast bowling we have seen. And
I mean, all-round bowling. Let's add the spinners to it as well.
Yeah, and not just this format. If you look at India's fast bowling across the format, we have been successful as a test team because of the fast bowling we have. I mean, the number of players which are there, and even the backup bowlers, because there have been injuries in some of the important series, and still we are able to have nice replacements for them. But talking about the bowling unit, I think the way they are groomed, the way they have been told that what are their roles, what are the lines they need to bowl, what are the tactics, what are the batsmen's weaknesses, and there is a lot of work going on behind that, and that's why I think the bowlers, they have the talent, but at the same time there's a lot of planning going on, and the bowlers are able to execute those plans, which is a big positive for the Indian team.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to comparatively analyze India's fast bowlers, there are a lot of very impressive fast bowling lineups on paper. Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins, Shaheen, Harris, if you were at Pakistan to that, Hassan Ali too, South Africa with Rabada, Janssen, who've still been pretty good, New Zealand with Bolt, Henry. What separates India's?
I think Bumrah. I think Bumrah causes so many problems for top order batters that the other bowlers can feed off. I think when you look at, there's one, Mitchell Stark, in times when Australia have been so good, when they won in 15 and they've been very, very strong in one-day cricket. It's been Mitchell Stark, and the others have fed off him because he's devastatingly quick and he's very accurate when he's getting it right, coming back. I think Afridi's the same for Pakistan, but I think Bumrah makes a difference for India. His ability to hold length and make a batter not understand where his off stump is, I think that is crucial when you go down the other end and you've got a guy like Mohammad Shami. For me, he's one of the most underrated fast bowlers in world cricket.
Shami, yeah.
Yes, because he's not Jasprit Bumrah, if you know what I mean. I think Harris Rauf's the same when it comes to Shaheen Shah Afridi. But the ability of Shami being able to sort of move the ball from that off stump either way, and just makes the two of them a completely a different proposition for them batters, but as devastating as they can be in that if they can bottle that and take that to the World Cup semi-final, World Cup final, there's nobody beating that team.
Tom, we've said this before, that great teams with great fast bowlers are not quite having the tournament we thought they would. The ball is apparently not swinging as much as we thought we would. Is it just about conditions? What are Shami and Bumrah doing right that's making them perhaps so far ahead of most others?
Well, I think we've got to look at the venues that India have played, and I think, to be fair, without sort of knowing them off the top of my head, I think they've had surfaces that have assisted fast bowling, not as much as what tonight, but they haven't played on surfaces where we've seen very, very high scores. But to me, what separates this bowling attack against other bowling attacks in this World Cup is the length they bowl and the relentless repetition at that length. And it's backed up. We talk about batting in partnerships, but it's equally as important to bowl in partnerships. And what we're seeing is this Indian team are just piling so much pressure on the opposition by doing that, bowling in partnerships and making it very, very difficult. And then you have the introduction of two very high quality spinners that are right on top of their game in Jadeja and Kuldeep. and they're very different spinners. So yes, they both bowl left arm, but they're very, very different. So that there's a huge amount of variety, and there's a lot of pressure that's being applied on the opposition.
I think as well. I think in that innings there, they were led well. I thought Rohit Sharma did a brilliant job at leading them, because once they'd made the initial breakthrough, you could have got the spinners in early, but he's gone, no, he's only got 5 bowlers to go with. So he's not thinking 40 to 50 overs. Rohit Sharma from about 10 overs of that game, he's thinking, I can bowl these out in 35, 40 overs. Yeah. So he didn't go to his spin bowlers. He went back to his seam bowlers. When Bumrah came off, Shami went back on, and then Siraj went back on, then Shami went back on. So I think you've got to give a lot of credit there to the way Rohit Sharma captained the initial first part of that game, which made it so much easier for him in the second part.
Yeah, he's been on the money. I mean, you make a point of whether Shami should be taking a new ball or not, but in a game like this, at times captains find ways of forfeiting the advantage, letting the opposition come back. Rohit, the captain, has got pretty much most things right here.
Yeah, he has been brilliant, and not just in this game, but if you look at the way he has led the team in the entire World Cup, especially the way he brings in the seamers. We have seen that Siraj hasn't started well in many games now. It's been 2 or 3 games where he hasn't bowled well with the new ball. He's still continuing with him, but how he uses him in the middle overs. Whenever he used Siraj in the middle overs, he has given that breakthrough which was always needed in the middle overs, and I think he has been very smart, and I think he has led the team in that middle overs, which not many captains are able to do well, because the 10 to 40 overs period is the most important period in one-day format. And if you look at the other teams where they have maybe allowed the opposition to slip away or get back into the game, where Rohit knows that he has to be a little aggressive, pick those wickets in the middle phase, and which he has been able to do. I mean, I'm not talking about just this game, but in general, if you look at the India's World Cup bowling performance, the middle phase is the one where Rohit has been proactive, and he has made those changes which allowed him to be successful with the bowling unit.
Yeah, I mean, it almost seems like just good calls that at times seem obvious from afar aren't made as frequently on the field, even by experienced captains these days, Tom. And we've had captaincy chats when it comes to Babar or Dasan Shanaka, at times Pat Cummins, but just from what you're seeing, it's not on the scorecard how a captain captains his bowlers. Rohit Sharma has had an influence there, or a big impact there?
I think a massive impact, and I can't help but think when we're having this conversation that the captain before him has taught so many great lessons and paved such a great sort of path for any captain to follow, and that's MS Dhoni. Just the calmness under pressure, and also the way he manages bowlers. Yes, Mohammad Siraj is not in the best of form, but you look at the last 2 years in this format of the game, he's dominated. So he's got trust in him, and he's got trust that he will recapture that form at some stage during this World Cup. So bringing him back into the attack during key times to try to help him find that confidence is what he's doing. So he's managing things not only just within the game, he's managing things into the future of this tournament. So it's very smart leadership, it's great man management, and I think that is understood and read by the dressing room as well, and you can feel that confidence sort of coming out of the dressing room because of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can extend on that last point, because it does seem like the team very easily follows the captain's decision making. I guess that trust has to be created, generated. You've shared the dressing room and Rohit's been captain.
I think his communication skills are really good. He's very friendly with all the players. He's very clear with what he's expecting out of a player. And, it's not just in the dressing room, but even when he's there in the net session, you will see him going to the player, talking to him about what he's expecting in the next game. So that he communicates that this is what I'm expecting. Why don't you try this out in the nets? So he's very clear with what he wants from a player. Yeah. And apart from that, the dressing room atmosphere, I mean, the credit goes to the captain and the management as well, because there's a good communication between the management and the captain. Captain is getting what he wants, but at the same time, the dressing room atmosphere also comes from the coaching staff, because they are the ones who are managing the things, how you are preparing for the game, how the players needs those facilities or whatever whatever is required, they are given that. They are given the right platform to prepare for a big game. They have managed the workload really well, because there are times where you need optional practice sessions. There are times where you need day off for a bowler or a batter, and that has been managed really well.
Yeah, I mean, you can also see what Rohit Sharma feels in the pictures that you get at home when he's unhappy with perhaps an appeal or a non-appeal from a Kuldeep Yadav, when he points out, yeah, bowl that one, when he throws, ye dal. You know, that's a very, he wears his heart on his sleeve. I'm sure there's also a laugh that the players enjoy when you see Rohit express the way he does on the field.
And you know, he is very spontaneous, and he will say
good sense of humor as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does have, and he will say whatever is there in his heart. He's quite expressive in that way. But on the field, what he wants is for the players to stay relaxed, because when you're under pressure, you're bound to make mistake. But if you can stay calm, if you can hold that composure under pressure, that's when you can deliver. Because there are times where, you know, when you're put under pressure, there have been times in the past where players have panicked a bit, and that is what he doesn't want. And he wants players to be confident, even if you make an error, as long as you are going with a clear game plan. When you are at the run-up, a bowler has to have a clear game plan, or what kind of bowl he wants to bowl. So the bowlers are clear with what they are expected to do, and there is a clear communication between the captain and a bowler that this is what you are expected to do. If you can't deliver, that's fine. There are times where you wouldn't get it right, but next ball you try and do that again.
Can't help but think, though, that the fact that the captain's leading the way with the bat as well at the top of the order is just allowing for all of this to further on. We've seen great players in this tournament, Butler included. You spoke of Root's experience from the Caribbean. Great players, when they're not going through runs, suddenly the captaincy seems a burden.
Yeah, the burden is huge and wears so heavy on his shoulders. And at the minute, Rohit Sharma, it's so light, it's so comfortable. Not only is he performing, he's driving, he's leading from example, he's leading with his decision making, but he's taking his team with him. So the team are making better decisions because of the decision making that the captain's making. So much easier when that's happening, and it's easy to go with as well. So if you're sitting there and things are going well, your captain's just come in, and, you know, played ahead of a blazing knock, and he's talking to you with confidence. It's easier to believe a captain who's speaking to you with confidence. At the minute, he can't be any more confident in the way he is and the way he's batting. So it must be a joy to be in that dressing room.
I mean, we spoke of the quality of India's pace bowling, that they are well led, but to then have a wrist spinner who comes and gets perhaps the most important wicket, and I know Joss Butler's not been amongst the runs, but small run chase, the dew generating, you sense, Tom, that Butler bats any length of time and this game could turn very quickly. And Kuldeep Yadav's bowled him a beauty. You know the value of having a good wrist spinner to follow up quality fast bowlers in one of the greatest teams the game's ever seen. But Kuldeep Yadav's playing that role, isn't he?
He's doing it superbly well, and it's an absolute joy to watch him bowl, because we know that he's had some difficult times in the past with regards to losing his form and falling out of favour. And for him to come back the way he's come back and bowl as well as he has bowled and take key wickets like Butler and others through the tournament is a real credit to him, and it's a real boost for India, because he does provide that critical wicket-taking capability in the middle phase between that 10 and 40 range of the opposition's batting. So, you know, he's on top of his game. Jadeja's bowled beautifully throughout this tournament. Again, you know, he was good this evening. So, you know, there's so many boxes that are being ticked at the moment for India. You know, they're not doing a hell of a lot wrong in the field either. I think they're probably have got the best catch percentage out of any team in this World Cup to date. So everything's going well. It's just from India's point of view, they just want to make sure they maintain, maintain this sort of positive approach and continue to look to improve.
Yeah, I'm not sure about some of the ground fielding today by poor old Siraj, but let's just put it down to a slightly tough day. They've still won by 100. Last World Cup, he bowled a beauty that we remember to Babar Azam. Probably think it's one of the balls of the tournament, or the best ball Kuldeep's bowled. How's this one in comparison? I mean, is that a batter completely bamboozled? How has that one suddenly turned?
For me, I think this is probably the best bowled by a spinner in this World Cup. I know it was slightly on the fuller length. Butler should have played that on front foot, but it was the length which was in between, where you, as a batsman, it's hard to judge. But look, he's wearing his pace. He's much more confident as a bowler now. and the reason is he's been playing most of the formats now. I think there are times where he's been part of the test squad, there are times where he has been part of the franchisee cricket where he hasn't been very successful. But good thing about him is he wants to learn, and I still remember him having a chat with Anil Kumble when he was playing test cricket in 2017. There was one of test match which he played at Dharamshala,
the Australia
and that was
one,
a flat pitch, and there are times where he has a conversation and he wants to get better, he wants input from the coaches, and that's where I think he gets better over a period of time. And look, if in the last few years he has grown in confidence, and the reason I think you will have to ask him, but he's more confident as a bowler and he has a bit more control in his bowling. He's not bowling too many loose balls either, because when he has been expensive, his length is still pretty accurate, and which there were times where he used to end up pitching short balls, and there were times where he ended up bowling few full tosses as well, which he hasn't been doing at all. But apart from that, he has improved immensely in last few years.
Yeah, and I guess, again, as we speak of the rest of the teams and why India is so far ahead, Army, we speak of why Bumrah and Shami are better than a lot of the fast bowlers we mentioned. It's been a tough tournament for wrist spinners as well. Shadab Khan can't seem to seal his place in the team. Zampa's now coming to the fore, but Kuldeep is, again, showing the consistency or quality of ODI wrist spin bowling, which we were sort of wondering where it stands.
I think the confidence levels he's got, and you can see that by the spring in his step and his approach to the crease. And that is, you can just see by his body language as he approaches the crease, you know that this is not going to be dragged down, this is not going to be overpitched. And the beauty about that ball with Joss Buttler was the setup was brilliant. He bowled 2 or 3 straight ones that was just skidded on nicely. And he knows that the wider one outside of stump is going to rag back, and he got it perfect. He got the length right for the straighter ones to just sort of trap Joss on the on the left pad. So he's keeping him leg side of the ball. So you can see he's doing that. Now you can only do that from a wrist spin point of view, especially with some dew around, if you've got confidence in your ability to let go of the ball. You feel free that you're going to let go of the ball, because it's such a difficult art. For me, that's the beauty about where Kuldeep is at this moment in time.
As Tom Moody rightly says, just boxes being ticked one after the other. Buttler was on the back foot, got bowled. He's on the back foot in a lot of things now. Steve Harmison, where do England go from here?
Home. That's simple. The simple answer is they're going home. They were going home before tonight. They're going home. They've got a massive game. I mean, you're just talking about for the player. The Netherlands in Pune, and if the Champions Trophy is going to be the top 7 plus the host, which is Pakistan, then England against the Netherlands could be the game that seals that position, number 8, because England don't look like winning anytime soon, and I wouldn't fancy facing Holland, the Netherlands now, because the Netherlands have got a decent pace attack. They've got a decent pace attack on a flat pitch, fair enough in Pune, but I tell you what, England to get to 8th. Now is going to be a challenge, and England play the Netherlands, and
small matter of playing Australia next as well.
Exactly. So you got Australia next, then the Netherlands, then Pakistan. So England might have to beat the Netherlands to get to the Champions Trophy. That's what they've got to play for. But this team at this minute in time, they look as though they're desperate to get on the plane.
Yeah, Tom, it's a tough, almost unenviable position to perhaps be part of that team management now. But Hami's made the point of what is at stake still. The presence at the Champions Trophy next year, we didn't even think that was something that we need to worry about for a team like England going into the World Cup. And of course, just reinforcement of the clarification that they have to finish in the top 8 with Pakistan and 7 teams qualifying for it, assuming Pakistan do keep their place in the top 8. How do you handle that dressing room now?
It's a very difficult one. It's certainly a dressing room that will be at its lowest point probably for many, many years, probably since way back in that World Cup in Australia in Adelaide, the Owen Morgan dressing room, where he suddenly managed to turn things around from that World Cup onwards. Look, I think it's one of those things that you need to try to draw a line underneath what's happened and restart your campaign, knowing that you're not playing for a World Cup, but you're playing for other small goals, and just trying to get yourself back on track. I think you need to take yourself out of this whirlwind of the World Cup that's just completely gone pear-shaped for you and your side, and you need to break it down to just simple, achievable goals and try to just make those milestones, and hopefully by doing that you win at least 2 of the last 3 games, and you put yourself in a position where you're mid-table and you've had a shocking World Cup, but you've walked away with some sort of respectability.
I mean, just look at those remaining fixtures again, Puji, and I guess question to ask is, will they finish? Yes, please.
I had a question for Harmy and Tom as well.
Yeah.
Look, I've been saying this. Is it the right approach which England is having? Is the brand of cricket which is more important than the result? Because they have been saying, even if we go down, we will still continue playing this way. So is it the right approach? Because I have my questions. I have been saying this. You, as a team, the result is more important. How you achieve it, it hardly matters.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think the England, there's 2 things in that for me. One is the brand of cricket England have been playing for since the 2015 World Cup, to get them in a position to be World Cup champions in 50 over and 2020 cricket, is a brand that they're not playing now. They're not looking like playing now, and I think what they've got to get away from, what they've got to get to at the end of this cycle, when the World Cup's finished, is then go back to what is their brand of cricket and what's their best 25 players, and identify which is the next 25. Because like I mentioned there, India have just beat 8 players who played in the 29 World Cup.
You've also mentioned there are a lot of aging players.
A lot of them won't be playing in the next cycle, as of the Caribbean come December. So they've got to find out probably a new brand of cricket. What is the new brand of cricket? How then they go about executing that brand of cricket? And the biggest and most important thing is who with.
Yeah, and I guess there's also a small story that came within the second innings, which is worth sort of discussing here, Tom, which was Shami to Stokes, which is all the class of Shami. Eventually it created what we thought was an ungainly response from Ben Stokes on a day where he thought this was the kind of game Ben Stokes was asked to come out of retirement for, was picked in the team for. 230, tough chase, tricky pitch, pressure of the opposition, big stage and whatnot. But what just happened there, and does that in some way tell us the story of perhaps what's gone wrong with England?
Yeah, I couldn't help but think that there was some scrambled thinking there. Ben Stokes is probably one of the game's greatest players under pressure, and he's pulled off some remarkable things with bat in hand and ball in hand, for that matter, in all formats of the game. So it was very uncharacteristic approach from Ben Stokes, but I think he found himself completely lost at sea at that moment and just had a brain fade. So even he, the greatness that Ben Stokes has produced in the game was exposed this evening by some high quality fast bowling, and he didn't work his way through or think his way through that. And it's a bit like the point I made at the halftime break. It's going to be very interesting to see what England's approach is to this batting, chasing down this total, because it was a modest total. We all agree with that. 230 was chaseable on that surface, particularly with dew that was potentially going to settle in. And I said, are they going to keep their ego in their pocket? And to me, that's something that they didn't do. They didn't sort of reassess the conditions. They didn't sort of think, okay, I know we like to play a certain brand of cricket in this white ball format, and test for that matter, because it filters right through to the test side. But there's times that you need to respect conditions, and there's time that you need to respect the bowler. And I think neither of those things were done, and they were totally exposed because of that. All they needed to do was think through the first 20 to 30 overs and be, at a modest position total-wise, but be in a strong position with wickets. And they would have walked that game in, because it would have been harder and harder and harder for India to bowl in those conditions.
Just to follow that up, can this lead into test format as well? Because they have been telling that the brand of cricket they want to play positively, but there are 5 test matches in India, and in these conditions, would you still, as a test team, would you still continue playing this way?
I would say good luck to them.
Yeah.
I think to answer that question, it'll be interesting. There's Owen Morgan, like I mentioned before, he's had things to say during the week about there's something not right in the camp. The way Ben Stokes is playing there possibly tells me that all is not comfortable, from not so much his point of view, but the way things are done in the one-day format or the white ball format to the way things are done in the red ball format. I think England will still try and play the same way in the red ball format in India in January, February and March for the test matches, and I agree with Tom. Good luck with that. But I think they might come with a different type of mentality and approach, more of a relaxed approach, which the feel-good factor inside the dressing room possibly will be a lot better than what the feel-good factor has been in this World Cup dressing room. The problem with that is, if they lose the first test match, where will that feel-good factor be going to the second one? Is it going to have a spiral effect like what this World Cup campaign has?
Yeah, I mean, we could box a lot of the England chat. There were 3 more games. Let's not run out of everything Steve Harmison wants to say today. Let's save something for the games against India. But who's to say? I'm not dissing England. This is a great team. They've taught everyone else how to play the current form of one-day cricket. They somehow just seem lost in this tournament. But we will come back to a bigger talking point on England with the remaining games they have. Like I said, it's Australia next up. But before we wrap up, I guess we spent a lot of time on Rohit Sharma in the mid-innings break. It's worth going back to that innings, which is so much more appreciative now, Puji, after what we've seen in the second half. That is a high-quality innings on a tough pitch.
It was, and look, he started aggressive. There was a time where India lost a couple of wickets. He then went little defensive, but again there was a partnership between him and KL Rahul, and then again he started playing his shots. So he knew in this innings that he can be aggressive, he can be defensive, and he can be aggressive again. So it depends on the situation. He batted according to the situation, and that is the brand of cricket I'm talking about, because you have to be smart in Indian condition, whereas England on the other side, they've been saying that they want to play positively, but I think this is how you play positively, because there are times where things are not going your way. As a batter, you just need to control the situation. You have to respect the situation and the condition and then bat accordingly.
I mean, it's almost textbook ODI batting, basically, of the good old days of when you were playing.
Yeah, it was, and I think we've got to remember he was given out on the field. He was given out LBW on 13, I think. So it just shows you how difficult this wicket was, and I think he's the difference between the game, because that, the next highest score is 49 in the match.
Yeah.
That's the difference between India winning in post in 229 and India possibly getting bowled out for 150. The way Rohit Sharma bowled, because as soon as he was given on the field, I was like jumping with joy, because I think that'll never get overturned, because obviously the stumps get
fine
bigger.
Margins that showed missing.
I didn't think that would be missing.
Yeah.
But it shows that once he was given out on the field and it was overturned, his mindset was
perhaps restart focus
and gone. So fair play to him for that, and I think because of that, that's why he's won the game for his team.
Yeah, and he's fittingly player of the match here, I guess, or should I say fittingly? Would you have given it to Asima or Rohit on a tough?
Because on a tough pitch, you want decent total to defend, and Rohit ensured that we got to 229, because otherwise we could have been 150 all out.
I want to give it to Shami, but unfortunately I've got to bite the bullet and give it to a batter. I've got to give it to Rohit.
Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. Rohit Sharma for me, captain, and also highest scorer. His captaincy, which we touched on, I thought was superb. But that was a very, very good innings given the circumstances of the conditions that are at play.
Yeah, as we talk about that second highest score, before we wrap up, Tom, we did mention, we'll bring up Surya Kumar Yadav, who's 49, played its part as well in taking India to 230 or 229. Rahul did his bit, soaked up the pressure between the two of them. They've now got almost 2 above par scores, looking at how the game panned out. He's another box ticked. Does that in any way sort of tempt you into saying Surya is someone you keep in this team? Or again, I think I did ask that question, but these are, I guess I'll just end it in saying it's another box ticked, isn't it?
It certainly is. I was quite vocal before the World Cup when India finalised their 11. I thought Surya Kumar Yadav was lucky to be in that 15, given his record in 50-over cricket and the options that were available to India to bring into that 15. But again, we all know what he's capable of doing, and we've seen it in a different format of the game. But he showed tonight, I think, his class, his experience, because he got 49, he only faced 47 balls. So be able to do that under pressure when you're batting with the back end of the tail just shows that he's got that composure and class. And India now have got the option. If Hardik Pandya is fit, they've got the option to maybe give him an extra game to rest him a little bit further, play Surya, knowing that the playing 11 is really they're both as good as each other, and they've got the perfect balance.
I guess it's only about what kind of player they want, because Shreyas has done little wrong, Puji, but Hardik's going to walk back into this team as soon as he's available and ready. They now have to make a call.
I think Hardik will come in because that gives you a sixth bowling option as well.
Yes, of course.
And Surya has been batting really well, but there are times where you have to be honest with the player. He will be aware that as soon as Hardik is fit, he might have to miss out. Even if he scores 100, he might have to miss out. And I think that should be the right communication, because when you know that this is a player who will be batting at number 6, who gives us the right balance, because Shardul Thakur missed out because Hardik wasn't playing. So he hadn't performed really well, but he was not bad either.
Yep.
So these are the times where you just be clear with the player that this is what is expected. There are times you might have to sit out despite performing well.
All right, we'll leave it there. They have a few more games to tick even more boxes. Points table, one more time before we wrap things up. India remain quite convincingly and comprehensively the only unbeaten team in this year's ICC Men's Cricket World Cup, and that is just as we finish off round 6 of games, which will culminate with Sri Lanka and Afghanistan in Pune tomorrow. England sit at the foot of the points table. They've got games against Australia, Pakistan and the Netherlands to come, and they have to somehow at least find a way to finish in the top 8 given the Champions Trophy qualification process, which you can catch on the ESPN Cricket for mobile app and read a little more about. It was always in place. It's just been re-clarified by the ICC. So download that. There'll be plenty written in set. Kuldeep Yadav is addressing a post-match press conference as we speak. It's a big thank you to Cheteshwar Pujara. This is where I bid him farewell, or should I just say until next time.
Until
all the
next
best, Puji.
time.
We've had such a nice time with you. I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Hami, what a great start for you.
Yeah, brilliant start.
You surely expected this. Yes.
Can't wait to come back tomorrow.
Look forward to having your company. Tom Moody, pleasure as always. We'll have more from you as the tournament gets to its business end. So we look forward to your company tomorrow. Cheers. For Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday. It's Afghanistan v Sri Lanka. We start at just before the toss. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Stunning looks, then swift.